Men will say when I ask, how much time do you need when you first get home from work? And every man says, I need right about 30 minutes. One man commented on my social media, and I thought this was great. He said, my wife gives me my 20 or 30 minutes when I get home, and then we have this arrangement that they have talked about and negotiated. At 5:30 p.m., she gets her time off, and he takes over. He goes, now she's there, she's in the home, but she is no longer responsible for the kids or dinner. He goes, at 5:30 p.m., I take over and give her time.
Welcome to the Daniele Hage Podcast. I'm your host, Daniele Hage. Daniele is my mother-in-law and Nini to my 3 girls. She's a pastor, speaker, and founder of Dynamic Traits. She has over 40 years experience in family and marriage relationships. She's been married for 43 years to Steve Hage, who travels the world preaching the gospel, and together they pastor a church in Laguna Niguel, California. So I'm so excited you're back today.
Yay.
Because we've had some great episodes lately, some amazing guests. And today we're going to really talk about how to get the best from your man when he comes home from work.
Yes.
We're talking specifically about that transition time, which, again, this is something you taught me about. I had no idea about it before I got married. It's something I still struggle with. And you just continue to coach and coach and coach and give us the reasons why men need this transition time. So can you talk to us a little bit about this time?
Yes. Okay. So when a man first comes home from work, and again, this isn't about getting more out of him. It's about bringing his best self forward. Okay. Yeah. And if we are both our best, then we're going to have the best relationship, the best marriage, right? So when he first comes home from work, it's almost like he has to debrief, so he walks in the door, he's got to unload his pockets, put his laptop down, unload his keys, and probably change into something really old, ugly, and comfortable that he likes, his favorite, at-home sweats or whatever. And men will say when I ask, how much time do you need when you first get home from work? And every man says, I need right about 30 minutes. It may be 40 for some, maybe 15 for others. But they need a little bit of time to just kind of get their bearings, debrief from work, and transition into being home. If you, instead of greeting him at the door and throwing the kids at him, I've had a day, and especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, your turn to take the kids and taking off, that's not going to work for him, okay? He might do it, but he's probably going to do it grumpy. Mm-hmm. So most men need just, a little bit of time to everybody's got a ritual. Most men have a ritual. Like for my husband, he travels a lot. So when he first comes home from traveling, he needs to go to the bank. He needs to make a deposit. First thing, before I can talk to him. Then a lot of times he'll go into the garage and he'll start wiping down his dusty car. Mm-hmm. That's therapeutic for him. It's like it just gives him a few minutes to be doing nothing. Some men, maybe they need to put the TV on. Maybe they need to go to their computers. Maybe they need to get a sports update. One guy, a wife told me that he needs to go into the jacuzzi. Like that was how he would kind of come down from his day. Whatever it is for your man. And you would be a really smart woman to find out what his ritual is. Like notice, be observant. Because if you want to start talking to him right away and throwing all the problems at him, he's been solving problems all day long at work. And I know men have said, when I go to work in the morning, it's like I'm going out to war. Mm-hmm. And when I get home and I'm solving problems and I'm fighting all day. And when I come home, I don't want another war to fight. I don't want another problem to solve. Right. They need to debrief. Once he debriefs and has that transition time, then he's going to be his best self. He can be present. Like a man can't give to you and listen to you and meet your needs and the needs of the children if he's still all full of all the stuff going on in him. And realize too, he has burnt up all his testosterone all day at work. Yeah. He's used it all up. So when he gets to come home and zone out, however that looks for your man, it actually is rebuilding the testosterone that he has used up all day. Okay. So, and then women will say also, I'll hear women say, well, what about me? What about me? What about us? What if I work full time too and I have to come home to the kids? Yes, of course, a woman needs time too. But here's the difference. Women can transition, to the best of my understanding, women can transition much faster than a man can. So it might not take you 30 minutes. It might take you only 15 or 10 minutes before you can be your best self. And the reason for that is and I'm going to try to explain this, but I'm not a doctor or scientist, but what I have learned is, there's that right brain, left brain. Okay. So usually women, if they have the feminine energy, are more right brain. The masculine energy is more left brain. And then there's the in-between, which is like that matter, the white matter in between the left and the right sides of the brain. So a man, he has a harder time for him. It's called the corpus callosum.
Yep.
Okay. So his corpus callosum is wider than a woman's. So for him to transition and move over from topic to topic, from discussion to discussion, or even, from work to home, it takes longer because his corpus callosum is wider. Women's corpus callosum is thinner. That's what makes us be able to, we can go from one topic to another without taking a breath, where a man is like, wait, whoa, hold on.
Multitask.
And we can just move over faster from one situation to the next because our corpus callosum is thinner. Now, as we age, because I've heard this too, men will say, no, the women will say, I'm more single focused. He's more emotional, or I can transition. It takes me longer to transition. As we age, our hormones change. Yeah. And because of hormones, a man's corpus callosum starts to get thinner. A woman's starts to get wider. Yeah. A man starts losing testosterone as he ages, unless he's taking some kind of supplement for it. And so he becomes almost like more feminine. Yeah. And I always laugh because my husband and I see this in him so much. Like, as he's gotten older, he's more detailed. He uses more words. He's more emotional. I'm now the type that's like, okay, cut to the chase. Bottom line, what are you trying to say?
Gotta go.
Like, forget all those details. I know. Like, just tell me what you want to say.
Yeah.
And we laugh because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm turning into a man. He's turning into a woman. And we laugh about it, but it really is the difference in hormones. Once you hit about 50 years old, you'll start seeing those changes.
Interesting.
So what is your husband's transition ritual? Does he have one that you noticed?
I'm a failure when it comes to this. Okay, so the challenge we had when we first got married was I did not have this information. I did not know about it. And we had 2 children under the age of 2 right away. I mean, we were pregnant within weeks of getting married. And I worked full-time, had always worked full-time, had a career. And so I think right off the bat, I always thought we were just on the same playing field. Yeah. And I'm blue. I'm a blue personality anyway. So it's like things have to be fair, right? Mm-hmm. And so that very much unfortunately comes into my conversation a lot of times, like what's fair. So I would say I am and have been that woman who's like, well, what about me? Yeah. And I've had the kids all day and, now being stay at home, my kids are a little bit older. We're in a really good stage of life right now where I really enjoy this stage and they're a lot more independent. Right. So I don't feel like I'm like throwing the kids at him anymore. But I would say the hardest years of our marriage were the times where I did not pay attention to that time to let him transition. And because he knows this teaching too, and maybe you can answer this, like, can a guy articulate that? Because Christian can articulate it. Like, if you just give me 30 minutes, he needs to like go to the bedroom, go change, sit on the couch, zone out for a few minutes, just play a few games on his phone, whatever it is. And I actually listened to a podcast last week where a guy was very articulate about it. And he's like, 30 minutes, I put down the keys, I go to my office, I shut the door, I do this, check the mail. And then he's like, right as soon as 30 minutes, I come out and I am absolutely ready to take care of the kids.
Be present.
Yeah. And he was able to articulate it really well. So Christian's been able to articulate it a lot of times. It's more like, hey, babe, I need this. Like, you need to understand this, and been had to guide me in that a lot more. But do you think guys can articulate that?
Well, I think if they can, it's a good thing if they can. Yeah. And I've heard once I posted this a little small video on this, the men were commenting saying that's exactly it. You articulated it for us. So once they hear it, they're like, oh my gosh, that's me. Yeah. And it doesn't mean, ladies, it doesn't mean that you ignore them when they walk in the door. Like, a man wants to know that his family's excited that he's home. Yes. But I used to get the kids together. Dad's coming home. We're going to meet him at the door. Dad, yay! Yeah. And give him a kiss. Okay, let me know when you're ready to be apart. of the family. Go do your thing.
Yeah.
And, I'm here when you're ready. So, and I want women to understand this. So, because women take this personal that a man isn't ready to relieve her of all her home duties the minute he walks in the door. It's not that he doesn't respect you. It's not personal to you. It's just something in our makeup or in a man's makeup that he needs when he gets home. And he'll even start to transition when he's getting ready to go to work. Yeah. Like my husband travels quite a bit, and the day before he's traveling the next day, he'll say, okay, I can't do anything. I'm already thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about what I have to do when I get there. I'm already starting to transition. And I get that. It's like, okay, we're not going out tonight, or we're not, whatever. Give him his time. He's transitioning. One woman said to me, well, he doesn't even kiss me when he leaves the house in the morning. And I said, you know why that is? I said, it doesn't mean he doesn't love you. Sure. This is not personal. He is focused on getting to work. He's already transitioning, and his focus is no longer on you and the kids and the home. His focus is on getting to work. It had nothing to do with you. And she was just like, oh. I said, and if you want to kiss, then go see him off and give me, bye, honey.
Right.
But don't expect any major connection at that moment because he's going to work. And yay, he's going to work. We want our men to work.
Protect and provide.
Yes.
Yep.
So be proud of him. Encourage him. I love you. Have a great day. And thank you for working. Because if you're a woman living with a man who won't work, doesn't want to work, I get a lot of that too. That's not going to be good for the woman, because you're going to lose respect for him. If he's just being lazy, sitting around and doing nothing, I mean, that's not a good place. Yeah. Or if he's out of work, again, maybe it's not his fault. Maybe he wants to work, but he's out of work. Yeah. That is a really hard place for a man. And ladies, you need to be gentle. You need to be sensitive.
We've talked about that on an episode before of what to do during those times. And how to support. And sometimes our voice doesn't need to be the loudest
tone
voice.
Of voice.
Yes. Or even our problem solving doesn't need to be inserted in that time.
Yes, that's right. We did talk about that.
We did talk about that a little bit. Yeah. I would say, yes, Christian, my husband, has that transition time in the morning too. He gets up and he has his morning routine, and he is focused and he is out the door. And then our best times, I've noticed, are when I just continue with my day.
Right.
If the girls are engaged, we're engaged in our learning activities or afternoon activities, or I just keep the ball rolling and he walks into that and he just gets to join in.
Right.
But we're good.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Right.
Because then he can choose. He doesn't feel like he has to leave us to go transition, because it's going to be like, oh my gosh, we're going to be on top of him, waiting for him to be done transitioning. But when we're good, we're engaged and we've got our day flowing, and he can kind of take his time transitioning. But honestly, those are the times where he doesn't need to transition as long, because he's excited that we're good and he wants to join us.
And I think it's very unique to every man, what his ritual is. Like one man commented on my social media, and I thought this was great. He said, my wife gives me my 20 or 30 minutes when I get home, and then we have this arrangement that they have talked about and negotiated. At 5:30 p.m., she gets her time off and he takes over. He goes, now she's there, she's in the home, but she is no longer responsible for the kids or dinner. He goes, at 5:30 p.m., I take over and give her time. And I thought that's so great.
And I think that's what most women in your comments are talking about.
Yeah.
I think the fairness and what about me?
Right.
And like we've talked about so many times, it comes back to communication.
Yes.
Because he will ask me so many times, okay, what do you need? I just feel like as a woman, sometimes my needs are so I don't even know what I need. I need this and this and this and this. But even just having that arrangement or communication, or even if it's once a week, we have Saturday mornings, it's like, okay, go do your thing, whatever you need to do, refill back up.
And that's his day to kind of take over and you're off.
And of course, it's negotiable as things come up and our seasons have shifted a little bit with activities and all that. But I think the communication is key. And I think you giving women these communication points to be on top of it and to say, hey, I understand this is what you need.
Right.
Let me hone in on it a little bit more. Let me be a little bit more sensitive to it. And then can we have an agreement?
Right. And I think when a man knows that you understand that, just you understanding that, it says to him that you love him. that you support him.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to stay away from you. It's just he's tired. And I know you're tired too. I mean, we all, and depending on the day, sometimes I have a harder day than my husband does, you know. But that's where you keep talking about it. Like I heard, and I thought this was so good, Brene Brown, she's the shame researcher. She's written a bunch of books. And I heard her say when they come home, sometimes depending on her day, she'll tell her husband, I got about 20%. And he'll go, I got the 80. Cool. And then those other days he'll be like, I got about 10% to give, and because I am all used up. And she'll go, fine, I got the 90. And it's like, you just talk like, how's your day? How's your day? It's going to switch from day to day. I wanted to say this also about just loving and caring for your husband. That woman that told me that her husband likes to go in the jacuzzi, after she heard this teaching, she started having the jacuzzi warmed up. Yep. She knew what time he was coming home. And she said, hey, the hot tub's all ready for you. And he was like, really? Wow. Like how considerate, how considerate. And she wasn't thinking, well, what about me? She was just, and just you giving that and saying, I know that this is a need for you. And I want you to have your time. It's going to make your husband want to be his best for you and do even more for you. And it's not about getting more out of him. It's about getting him into the attitude and the mindset of being his best so he can be present. Kiss at the door. Let me know when you're ready, honey, to be present. Yeah. Take your time. Yeah. Just that, I think for men, it makes them go, she really does care about me. Yeah. She gets me. Yeah. Why not?
Well, I also think when we truly believe that when they go to work, it's not a break for them. Because I hear that so many times.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, well, they got to have lunch out today. I wish I could have lunch out today. I say that all the time. Yeah. Or they're out golfing, but they're doing deals or whatever on the golf course. Or they're just at work. They don't have kids around. Like they're not having the 20,000 words in each ear coming in and out asking to tell you the ABC song one more time. Yeah. So we think, to us, we think that's a break. And when we truly do honor what they're doing at work as protecting and providing for the family with us as their number one, people to take care of, it makes them want to work harder.
Yes.
Be better. Right. And provide even more or at a greater amount. Yeah.
I had one woman say to me, I may have used this example before, but I'm going to say it again. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And she had 2 small kids. And in order for her to do that, her husband needed to take a job out of state. And they agreed. And she said, okay. And he got to the big house, the promotion. It was a better paying job, but they had to leave the state. And she called me and she said, well, I'm just, after they'd been gone, 6 months, she goes, I'm just not happy. And I said, what? I said, well, you got your dream, right? You wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. You got the big, beautiful home. And what aren't you happy about? She goes, well, he's gone all the time. Mm-hmm. And she goes, and when do I get me time? He's at work. He gets me time at work. And I go, whoa. I go, being at work, I said, I don't think women realize how hard men have to use their brain power and their energy to be at work and all their testosterone, depending on their job. And I said, him working is not me time. I go, maybe if he gets to go golf on the weekend or do something fun on the weekend, that might be me time for him, but working. So first you need to get that out of your head. And I said, and then you guys need to come to an arrangement where, yes, you get a break also, but it's not going to be the minute he walks into the door. And you can't have it all, lady. You can't have it all. You can't expect your husband to make big money so that you can stay home. And then you want me time too. Like that's kind of sounding like a spoiled little princess. And you're not. Sorry. This is life. And guess what? It's only a season. Like you just said, when the kids were little, it was exhausting. You're breastfeeding, diaper changing, all that stuff. And now they're at a place, where they're older, 10, 11, 12, and they're becoming more independent. But and during that age when they were little, you probably thought, my God, is this ever going to end? Is this ever going to end? But then look how in no time at all, now they're at that stage and pretty soon they're going to be gone. Yeah. So you have to remember, this is a season. Yes, it's hard. I get that. But everybody's working hard. Your husband's working hard. The wife is working hard. Both jobs are important, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or maybe you have a job outside the home and children. Yes, it's a hard time, but it's not going to be that way forever.
And I think you have to find, as a woman, negotiate with yourself, because I would judge my husband by sitting on the couch and watching TV like, there's so much to do.
Yeah.
Don't you understand the list that's going on in my brain? Don't you hear all these voices in the house? I can't sit down on the couch right now. How can you sit down on the couch right now? But even renegotiating that voice within myself during the day while he's at work, I'm going to take a little bit of time to sit down, to relax,
Good.
maybe to scroll for a little bit. I don't do it every day,
Yeah.
but I recently told him, because we've been working really hard on our budget and paying off debt and all that. And because of the amount I'm in the car and driving to activities, and his job is longer and a lot of time, he's working hard, which I'm very appreciative of.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm going to treat myself to a nice coffee when I get in the car. If I'm in the car for an hour each way,
Driving the kids,
to activities and doing all this at the end of a homeschool day, I'm going to treat myself, the $100 a month that it is for a nice coffee, like that's going to have to be a part of our budget.
Yeah.
But there's just these little things that I've had to negotiate and let go of my own should and shame in myself.
Right.
Of that's lazy, or we wouldn't do that,
Right.
or waiting, like my break can't have, like it doesn't count. The break doesn't count if he's not home. Like you said, the kids aren't as young and needy anymore, so I can get the break.
Yeah.
Or, have a park meetup with a mom, and the kids don't need us as much anymore on top of the slides and all of that. So it's seasonal.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I heard somebody else saying a couple different comments where, well, isn't his drive home transition time for him? And I used to think that too. Well, my husband's flying home. He just sat on a plane.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do anything. He's just sitting on a plane. So he's had his transition time. Nope. They're not transitioning when they're driving. That's work. That's work related. You have to be alert. You're watching, you have pay attention. Most men will say that's not enough time. And then this is the other thing. Men will say, well, since I can't get that time at home, I go to stop by the pub or go to the bar.
Yeah.
Do you really want your man having to go transition at the bar with the buddies, drinking before he comes home to you? Because if all hell's going to break loose when he walks in the door, that's what he's going to do. He's going to go somewhere else besides home. And I didn't want my man to ever feel like he could not come home and be at peace. I wanted to provide a place of peace for him. And men crave that, especially after a hard day at work. They crave that peace. So for me, I thought, yes, I need a break too, but I want my man to have his time so that he can be present. And I want him to come home and get his break and not have to get it somewhere else.
Yeah. You recently were a guest and had him as well on your podcast, but he was a Marine, and he said when he transitioned from the Marines, his schema of life is the battlefield and being a soldier and being a fighter. And so when he transitioned into work, same thing. That's his battlefield. He's out, he's protecting and providing for his family. He's a soldier. He didn't want to come home to a battlefield either.
Right.
And they need that. The men need to feel like they're the warriors that they are, but when they come home, that they have peace at home, that they're able to let their guard down, not have to pick back up another sword and fight another fight.
Right.
And so you've really helped me see that too. And some girlfriends too that I'm really close with helped me see our home really is my domain.
Yes.
And I have full control of what the atmosphere is like when we leave in the morning, when he comes home at night, and really being a lot more intentional about even just walking in. Like, I know for my husband, if he's walking into like piles and a mess, and that just even like immediately he goes into, I need to clean it up. I need to, get the laundry off the bed. So even just being more aware of that, of at least like the walkway, maybe the upstairs where the girls are playing isn't so nice and neat and tidy, but at least having a little bit of tidiness when he walks in so he doesn't feel that chaos of the day.
That's so good. Yeah, you want to provide a peaceful home, a place of peace. If you want your husband home. Yeah. Or you don't have to. I know there's a lot of women out there that are saying, it's not fair. I need my break too. But you just have to decide what it is that you want. If you want to have a man that listens to you and talks to you in the evening, give him his space, give him his transition time. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be happy to do that if he gets to debrief. Before.
And we've talked about too in several episodes how to ask for what you need.
Yeah.
So as a woman, yes, if you're go during the day and then he transitions, but then he goes off and to do his own thing and you're needing him to talk to you or be present or whatever your needs are, you've talked a lot about what the words are to use to have that conversation. And like you said, like that one couple, they negotiate. At 5:30, it is an agreed upon deal that
Right.
he comes in, takes over, but he gets his transition time before that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just thinking back about when my husband was traveling a lot for 10 years of our lives. He traveled for 49 weekends out of the year for 10 years in a row. So he was making good money and he was doing what he loves, and that was great. But we had moved to a different state during that time. And so I didn't know a lot of people, and I really would count down the hours till he got back, and I was, involved in my church and that kind of stuff. But I remember one time he'd been gone for a lot, and he came home and he said, "Hey, the guys want to take a Harley ride and spend a couple days up in somewhere on our Harleys." And I looked at him, I said, no. And he was like, "What?" I go, "That does not work for me." I said, "As much as you travel, and now you're going to go again the minute you get home to just go have fun with the guys." I'm like, "No, that's not okay with me." And we had to have a conversation about it. Yeah. And one of the guys was kind of like a boss to him in his work. And so after we had a conversation about it, he saw my point and he goes, "You know what? You're right." And I'm like, "Are you ever going to see your children? Like, they need you. They're teenagers now. They need some time with their dad." And I know that sounds fun. Maybe in a few years you can do that. But right now, that's not going to work for me. And he agreed. He said, "Okay." He goes, "I get that." And so there's going to be times where there's times where I have to put my foot down. And there's times where I want to do things and he puts his foot down. And again, it's just negotiating, compromising, and coming to an agreement where it works for both of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Okay, anything else about transition time?
I think
any tidbits to leave us with?
I think we pretty much have covered it. Just to reiterate, ladies, him needing that time is not a personal hit to you. Doesn't mean he isn't excited to see you when he gets home. It doesn't mean he loves you any less. Doesn't mean he's a bad dad. If you want him to be the best dad, the best husband, the best that he has, give him time to transition so that he can then be present. It's going to be better for you at the end of the day.
Yep. Agreed. So good. So thank you for being with us today. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when a new episode is coming your way. It helps us if you leave a comment or any questions down below. And make sure you listen and share this podcast wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts.